The privilege today to be on the Boomers Today podcast, and just really thrilled about that. The Boomers Today podcast is a nationally syndicated podcast. Frank Samson is with Senior Care Authority, and he is the founder of Senior Care Authority. He's been doing the Boomers Today podcast, the nationally syndicated podcast, for a long time, for years, and I was lucky enough to be able to be on today as a featured guest. So here's my interview and podcast with Frank Samson and the Boomers Today podcast, talking about ways to save assets and qualify for benefits.
Well, welcome to Boomers Today. I'm your host, Frank Samson. Of course, each week on our show, we bring you important, useful information on issues facing baby boomers, their parents, and other loved ones. I just can't thank everybody enough for all their support, all your support. Our listeners are growing each and every day. I know many of you share many of our shows with others, and we just really, really appreciate that. And the show has grown because we have wonderful, wonderful guests. And we have another guest today who is going to provide us some great information. We have with us Greg McIntyre, who is based in North Carolina and became a lawyer to fight courtroom battles, which he did for years. However, after working in an environment where the focus was always on the next billable hour, he started McIntyre Elder Law Practice because he was interested in being more than just a lawyer. Greg was interested in making a difference in his clients' lives. Greg is a veteran of the United States Navy and a member of the North Carolina State Bar Association. He's also a member of Elder Council, a national network focused specifically on estate planning and wealth preservation. And we might ask Greg a little bit more about that organization. So, Greg McIntyre, thank you for joining us on Boomers Today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk about something I'm passionate about.
Oh, that's great. So, throughout the course of years and doing the show, I've interviewed a number of attorneys, elder law attorneys, but we can't talk about it enough because it's just so important. And I love talking to people like yourself. Really, I learn something each and every time. I'm going to start out just with kind of a basic question. There's a lot of different types of attorneys out there, and everybody has their specialization. Elder law is also an area of specialization, but within elder law, there's kind of, I guess, maybe for lack of a better term, subspecialization. So can you give us kind of an overall of elder law and kind of the various areas and what specific area you specialize in?
Absolutely. So I would say it's a subset of estate planning, but I think it's a pretty deep rabbit hole to go down because it has its own unique set of circumstances. Planning for a couple in their 30s with two children or early 40s with two children is much different than planning for a senior. We always want to keep our eye on the fact that long-term care could be an issue, the fact that around 70% of people over the age of 65 are going to need some type of long-term care in their lives, in-home, assisted living, or nursing home care. And we want to make sure that, hey, is the will the right place to pass the assets? Should we look at other ways to protect the property? Do they have long-term care insurance that maybe their insurance specialists could put in place to help protect? Should we use trust? Those are all questions we want to answer. Also in elder law, you might get people who failed to plan. I have two children. I have 6 children, 2 of which that come to mind right now. The 2 oldest boys, one is a person who plans ahead. He's in his second year at University of Chapel Hill, UNC in Chapel Hill, and he plans ahead for everything. My 15-year-old does not always. He's getting better. But, sometimes we have to stay on him to do things ahead of time. Same with clients. Sometimes for life or circumstances, we put off doing the planning. Perhaps we procrastinated. We thought long-term care insurance was too expensive. We've gotten in a situation where the family all of a sudden realizes, hey, we've got to pay for care and it's going to cost a lot of money. We're going to spend down everything that we have. What can we do? We get people in that situation as well, Frank, and we help them navigate that situation and activate much needed benefits to pay for care. So elder law can have many different facets, all of which revolves around the senior and making sure they can stay in control of assets, protect those assets while maximizing their ability to pay for things like long-term care.
Right. So, you mentioned, last time I checked, we got for sure 100% chance that we're going to die.
Everybody on the call here and everybody watching is in the same game, and everybody's going to pass away.
You mentioned an interesting statistic that I use quite often. I think it goes something like, if anybody, once you turn about 65 years old or thereabouts, you probably got about a 70% chance that you're going to need some sort of long-term care. So,
and if you want to make a lot of money disappear, that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Is to pay for long-term care for an extended period of time.
Yeah. Right. So, two-part question. First part is,
sure.
Take a stab at what percentage of your clients are really planning and what percentage are in panic mode.
Which one's my 19-year-old son and which one's my 15-year-old son? How about that?
Right. So, let's start with that. What would you say?
Yeah, I'd say it's about half and half, okay? Some people, well, actually, let me back off that. Less than half have planned ahead. I'll say that. Less than half have planned ahead. Yeah. Even though because it's human beings, Frank, human beings are motivated by fear and pain, okay? That's the primary motivator, just us psychologically as people. I wish that I could break that down and change that, but I think that's hardwired within us. So when we realize that crunch that we're in, that's when it becomes imperative. Even though I do speaking events, podcasts like we're doing today, and seminars all the time to try to just witness to people and tell them, look, I see this every day. Please plan ahead. We can help you with that. Even though you tell them till you're blue in the face, not everyone's going to get that. So I'd say less than half, probably much less than half have planned ahead.
Yeah, I would, that doesn't surprise me. So what do we talk about? Some of the things that you emphasize to get people to plan ahead. I don't mind you bringing up some horror stories, but I've heard, I'm witnessed many of them as well. And some people think that, well, for me to go get an attorney and pay them a fee, I don't have a whole lot of assets, so sure. I don't really need to do that. Tell us, I'm sure you've heard that before. So how do we get people out there, our listeners, and to share with their friends and family to plan ahead?
Absolutely.
What do we need to do?
Well, I'll tell you the story of my grandfather, Papa Mac, my dad's dad. My dad's one of 6 children as well, and loved his grandmother and his mom and dad. I love my grandmother and grandfather. My grandfather was a tenant farmer in North Carolina and also a furniture maker, very talented. And as a tenant farmer, he farmed other people's land, okay? First year he farmed this guy's land when he was a young man. The guy didn't pay him. He stiffed him at the end of the year. Now, I don't know about you, but if that would have, he's a better man than me because I would have definitely needed a civil attorney, maybe a criminal attorney by the time we were done, okay? However, he worked hard his entire life. He raised 6 children with his wife, and in the end, he lost literally everything, including a small farmhouse which he was able to buy and take out a mortgage to buy. Probably paid on that mortgage for 30 years, Frank. Probably paid the bank back 3 times as much as he actually bought the house for over the 30-year period, including interest. And then in the end, he ends up losing everything. I mean everything. He spent 14 and a half years in assisted living care, and it literally took everything he had, and then Medicaid came in and paid for it anyway, okay? I never thought that was right. I never thought that was just. So that is one of my whys. That and my wife, my beautiful wife of 20 years and our 6 children, that's why I work so hard, so late, and weekends too, to try to help people, to avoid those types of situations. His story, my grandfather's story, is not much different at all than millions, tens, if not hundreds of billions of Americans out there who are in the same exact situation. They've worked their whole lives. They may not think they have a ton, but I bet you they value that home. And I bet you that home, if it's worth $100,000, if it's worth $200,000, $300,000, or more, I bet you that could change the trajectory of a family in some cases. Elder law does not just affect that one person, that senior. It affects the entire family, Frank, because the value of that house could send a grandchild to college. So those things are extremely important and could be fixed by literally just doing some deed planning. Perhaps in your state, if it's allowed, doing a life estate deed on the home, which allows the senior to stay in control of that house for the rest of their lives, and then pass it on after they pass away, and not be subject to Medicaid recovery, or Medi-Cal recovery in your state, Frank, that might come back and try to back recover that home. Or if you live in a state like I do that's fortunate enough to allow a ladybird deed, then that is not subject to any look-back period from a benefit program like long-term care Medicaid. Say a 5-year look-back period, for instance. And you can put it on today and preserve the home for the kids or grandkids and still qualify for that benefit tomorrow with no penalty. There's trust. You can use trust, irrevocable trust, and not just for the home and real estate, but for also money.
Right. So explain to me, I think I have a pretty good idea, but I want everybody to, understand. I would say, I don't know if you would agree with me, but the majority of people there think that there's going to be some sort of insurance or government program that's going to pay for their care. And that's really not the case. Now, there could be. So why don't you explain that? That generally we're talking about private pay, and however, there could be cases that you could get dollars to help pay for the care. Talk about some of those options that are out there. I know that's a big question, but let's just touch the surface on some of them if you can.
It's a deep question. Let's start with Medicare. A lot of people think that Medicare is going to pay for long-term care. They don't understand. And everybody over 65 in the United States of America has assisted living or nursing home care. Okay? Medicare will pay for rehabilitation for a certain period of time. And if you have a supplement, may have it extended out longer to pay for 100%. But at some point, usually it's within 100 days, you're going to have to start paying for your own long-term care, in-home assisted living or nursing home care at the level prescribed by the doctors who evaluate you. And at that point, how are you going to do it? Well, you're going to have to come out of pocket for that care. That means it's going to start depleting your savings. It's going to take your income. And you're going to have to pay rent at whatever facility you're in. I mean, facilities have to maintain a staff, proper standards, equipment, and pay the mortgage as well. So you literally have to pay the rent there every month or you can't stay, which presents a problem for a lot of people because they might not have gotten long-term care insurance that will kick in at that point to provide much-needed supplemental income, additional income to cover those costs. So that can be a huge issue. If not, you could look to roll, and that's what we help people in Medicaid crisis planning a lot of times, is to roll to a Medicaid program in their state that pays for assisted living or nursing home care. But the trick is, or the struggle is, from a legal standpoint, to do that legally, to qualify someone legally while preserving the assets for, say, a healthy spouse, called the community spouse, okay, for instance, or the family. And there are plenty of ways to do that, and we're very good at doing that, but people don't understand how to do that, and a lot of times they end up losing everything they have before consulting an attorney or without consulting an attorney and without planning ahead.
Great. Oh,
to even qualify and activate the Medicaid benefit, to even get to that point.
Yeah. So we're going to take just a quick break here, and I'm going to recognize our sponsor, and then I'm going to come back. And I want to talk to you more about the VA program, because I know that there's a great benefit for VA or surviving spouses. So we're going to come back and talk a little bit about that. So I want to remind everybody that today's show is sponsored by Senior Care Authority, a senior placement and elder care consulting organization that has a national network of professionally trained and experienced local advisors to assist families in determining the right path for your loved ones.
This is how you always been. With something new.
I feel like I haven't. I feel like the last 6 months or so,
nursing
or this
care,
last
or
year,
you just
I
need
kind
an
of
advocate to get
like
some advice from.
but
A
now
local
I'm
senior
working
care
back.
authority advisor can help you now.
Drinking
So
the
for
right
a
coffee.
free 30-minute consultation with an advisor
With Red Bull.
in your area, contact Senior Care Authority at 888-809-1231.
You can crop all this out, right? You can crop all this out.
www.seniorcareauthority.com, and you can find
You guys out there, if you're watching this,
in your area.
I've got my energy back. It feels good.
Today we have with us
Just wait till you try
Brett,
keto.
McIntyre, who is a VA certified and elder law attorney based in North Carolina. So, Brett, thanks for that explanation before the break. VA, a lot of people don't even know that there's a benefit, a long-term care benefit through the VA. They don't really promote it heavily. So maybe you could give us a little overview on how that works.
Not only don't they know, sometimes I actually have to convince them that it really exists, okay? I mean, I have to let them go do their own research or check with their local Veterans Service officer in their town or county to verify it exists. But yes, there is a little known veterans benefit called Veterans Aid and Attendance Pension Benefits that allows a veteran or a spouse of a deceased veteran to receive benefits if they have some health care issues going on at the time. And we can get into that. I can break down that benefit for you, Frank, if you'd like me to.
Yeah, why don't you just give us an overview of that? Sure.
All right, so Veterans Aid, I'm a certified attorney through the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. I'm a veteran myself. I'm a member of the American Legion, and I like helping veterans, okay? But one thing, again, veterans are not, the Veterans Administration, in my opinion, does not spend a lot of money on ad dollars, okay? And widely publishing what's available for veterans, okay? And I think that's unfortunate. Plus, a lot of veteran services officers, there's not enough of them, overworked, underpaid, and unable to really prescribe legal advice because they're not attorneys on how to qualify for veterans benefits. So Veterans Aid and Attendance Pension Benefits is a benefit that has 3 prongs: health, wealth, and service. You have to be in service during a wartime period as set forth by VA. And that it's hard to find a period in the last 100 years when the United States has not been at war with somebody, unfortunately, okay? So most of the time, you're going to hit in one of those periods, whether it be Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War era, which is still open, World War II, which is still have World War II veterans that we help, and spouse of World War II veterans. The veterans eligible for the benefit by the benefit of their service during a wartime event. They don't have to be on the front line, dodging bullets, okay? They could have been in Nebraska at an Air Force base, okay, during a period of time. Or like my father, who was on a subtender, docked in San Diego and doing, patrols around that area and fixing subs during Vietnam, okay, when he was in the Navy. So he would still qualify under the service prong because of the time he spent in during that wartime event. So that's one. 2, let's say health, okay? You have to have, say, some health issues going on. You'll hear insurance people talk about ADLs, activities of daily living. Let's just, for a quick summary, say that you have to hit 2 out of 6 ADLs. So you need help if there's any incontinence going on. So If you need help eating, preparing meals, bathing, dressing, or being ambulatory, walking. Okay, if you need a walker, and a doctor will specify that you need help with 2 out of say 6 of those things, then you should qualify under the health prong. Okay, and there's some automatic qualifiers which are legal blindness, Alzheimer's, dementia. Any evidence of Alzheimer's, dementia could help someone qualify on its own. Okay, so that's under the health prong. And then there is the wealth prong, which I'll divide into 2 parts: income and assets. Assets, right now, thankfully the VA has actually codified something. Used to, it was a kind of a rule of thumb approach as to what they would accept in assets, and that was rumored to be around 80,000 or below. However, they've now codified it at 120,000. Okay, so you can't have more than $120,000 in assets, but that can be defined a number of different ways. Your house is not part of that. Your house and 2 acres of land now are not part of that. And as an elder law attorney, as a certified attorney through VA, I can help veterans position their assets to better qualify, other than just spending them down. Okay, there is a 3-year look-back period now that was implemented last year. I want to say October 18th of 2018. If you move money into, say, a Veterans Asset Protection Trust or someone else's name, there's a 3-year look back on that. But there's still other ways to either get qualified now or to utilize things for planning ahead, like Veterans Asset Protection Trust. And then I'll come to the income prong under that wealth prong, which is it's a dollar for dollar decrease in benefits based on how much countable income you have. So let's just say you're owed $2,300 in benefits per month, okay, which is not an unusual amount. That would be a common amount, or that range, under Veterans Aid and Attendance Pension benefits for a veteran, say a married veteran. And that married veteran had $2,300 in household income, okay? And that would mean he would get 0 benefits because his income canceled out the benefit, unless he was spending or she was spending their income on in-home care, right, or care, any kind of care, in-home assisted living, nursing home care, even independent living care counts now, or on out-of-pocket prescription costs, or on insurance payments, or a combination of those 3 things. And again, or let's say they're paying for in-home care. Perhaps they're paying a family member for in-home care because VA can't say that you have to hire the person down the street or somebody from an agency to come in and give care. They can't confine it to that. Perhaps a sister, a son, a daughter, a grandchild could give just as good care and be paid for that care. So there are many different ways to characterize that. That's just an example under a VA and Medicaid compliant caregiver agreement that would help to dispense that money and bring down that countable income to maximize the availability or eligibility of the Veterans Aid and Attendance Pension benefit, which is a benefit for life, just like any other pension once it's activated for a veteran.
Yeah. So, Greg, a couple things.
Sure.
One, I know we've been putting emphasis on the veteran, but this benefit can provide dollars to a surviving spouse as well, correct?
Exactly. So I would just say that the spouse of a deceased veteran, okay, which, yes, can also qualify based on the veteran's service. And I would go back and listen to those same rules again that I just ran down. And, if you're a spouse of a deceased veteran, and you could be eligible for that same benefit. But Veterans Aid and Attendance pays down on a decreasing scale, whether you're the veteran, a married veteran with a non-married veteran spouse, 2 married veterans, or a spouse of a deceased veteran, pays out at different rates. The payout, I'll just say, is approximately $1,300 right now, approximately $1,300 for a spouse of a deceased veteran per month. But sometimes that could double someone's income. I have taken veterans and spouse of deceased veterans as clients who were struggling to pay assisted living care. The family was, all their income was going to pay for that care, and plus their savings every month they were dipping into, which was running, which was being depleted, and taking someone in that situation and or the family was chipping in the shortfall between the cost of care and the senior's income who needed care, and put that senior in a more empowered position where they drastically increased their income with Veterans Aid and Attendance pension benefits, and were able to have a surplus in assisted living and be able to actually put that money aside during their stay and pay private pay.
Yeah, and also you can also help them be in a location that would be more preferable than maybe the family is able to afford. So it may not, with the cost of long-term care, maybe the VA program won't fully pay for it, but it could certainly help a tremendous amount.
Sure. VA is only going to pay in full if it's a retired veteran or you're disabled, fully disabled, under a service-connected disability.
So there's something that you said that I like to just re-emphasize because I thought it was just so important, and that's moving assets around. When we first talked to a family and we're having some discussion, you'll hear from the adult daughter, I know we've got to get, mom's to get her approved on Medicaid. She's got to be at this level. I've heard about this VA thing, and my father was a veteran, so we got to get her to this level. So we've been moving some money around out of her account into the kids' accounts. I mean, I cringe when I hear that. So.
Right, because they don't know, they don't understand the repercussions. They don't understand what they're doing and how they're going to affect that person's eligibility.
They shouldn't be doing that at all.
Right, no.
You shouldn't be doing that at all.
So when we plan for someone under either a state Medicaid program to pay for long-term care or Veterans Aid and Attendance pension benefits, or both at the same time, we keep an eye on both those programs to make sure we don't step on that benefit, that we don't block that person because of an erroneous move under the rules from getting that benefit that they really, really need.
Right. So time has flown by. I'd love for you to just...
Well, I could talk all day, Frank.
With everybody.
I could talk all day.
I could talk to you all day. I could talk to you all day. There's a wealth of information, but unfortunately we're kind of out of time. But I want to make sure people know how to get a hold of you.
Sure.
If they would like to talk to you, and also if they're not based in North Carolina, can you help them either yourself or maybe finding somebody who specializes in this in another state? Maybe you could share that as well.
Absolutely. Okay. So yes, our focus is elder law. That's what we practice: estate planning and elder law in North Carolina. Okay, and we can help the citizens of North Carolina at our practice. To reach our practice, you can dial 704-749-9244 or check us out online, mcelderlaw.com. That's mcelderlaw.com. And in other states, we routinely, you mentioned at the beginning, I'm a member of Elder Council, which is a national group of elder law attorneys, which gives me a really deep bench frame. We help each other solve problems. It helps me network and make connections and know other elder law attorneys in other states. So if you call our office and you're in any state, I don't really care if you're in California, wherever you are, Hawaii, call our office, 704-749-9244, and we will look up and recommend another elder council attorney that practices elder law just like me in a town nearby you or in your town, okay, in your state. And we'd be glad to help be that resource for your listeners.
Great. Greg, I could talk to you all day, but unfortunately we have to go. I just want to thank you so much for joining us on Boomers Today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Frankie, and thank you for having me. You have a great day out there, okay?
Great, thank you. I want to thank everybody for joining us on Boomers Today. Just be safe out there. We'll talk to you all soon.
Bye.